We are magical. So let's get this party started. I
Yes.
really am excited to have you here, Mara. And in the space of Overachievers Anonymous, where we are badasses that have paved our path to success, trying to outperform our pain. And the reason that we heal is because we want more cells, we want more serotonin, and we want more sex. Thus, we are bringing Mara to the table. And the crowd goes wild. All right. So, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for
Really
having me.
excited to have this conversation. And today we're diving into attachment styles, which is so important, right, for us because what I say to clients all the time is wherever you go, there you are. And how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're like, oh no, my relationship is great, great, that's wonderful. But I would also ask you to listen and to lend an ear to this conversation because this also applies, and Mara, tell me if I'm on base here. This also applies to how you're showing up in your business and with your kids and in other spaces. So this is a holistic conversation that we're going to have today. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad. I was looking
Absolutely.
forward to this conversation.
Yeah. It's nice to be able to share space. Where are you calling in from? Where are we connecting from?
I am in the States. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. So,
Okay.
southeast. So, yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Charlotte's a cute city.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah. So tell us about attachment styles and their impact. Specifically, we'll start with well, no, before we even go there, introduce yourself. Please. I won't even try to um uh do your introduction and your magic justice because you are indeed magical. Tell us about yourself first.
So, my name is, like you said, my name is Mara, and I am in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a relationship attachment coach, and I help, women, and men as well, but mainly women who, just like everyone here, right? They're high achievers. They want all the success, but are really, having challenges in their relationship. So it may be, if you're single, you are, looking for that person, but you keep finding yourself in the same old relationship over and over again. And also you're not sure why, right? It's kind of like, well, I have all the success, but for this one area, is just I just keep fumbling over here, And so sometimes, so that's what I kind of come in and step in and help them in that regard. And then also, and if you're in relationship or dating, married, sometimes there are again some things that we're fighting over the same thing over and over again. They've lost, the spark or communication is just, we're not seeing eye to eye. So how do we navigate through these complexities of relationships?
Mm, so
You know?
important.
Yeah.
What brought you into this work?
So my background, I've been in the beauty industry for a decades, and so just having that foundation of being behind the chair and kind of being that beauty therapist, if you will. Um, I'm sure you guys know when you're at your hairstylist, you have that conversation. 90%
Yeah.
of it's about men, it's about relationships, it's all the things, right? And I was so involved because I might be doing their hair for the wedding or their breakup hair, whatever. And other services. And so over the years, I didn't realize what I was the skill of just holding space for someone was
Mm-hmm.
the skill of holding
Mm-hmm.
space. That this was may have been the only time for people to really ever feel heard, and to feel seen. And so I knew, like, I had my own relationship challenges. I was in a really toxic relationship, when I was in my 20s, and was just started becoming really obsessed with, like, why do we do what we do? Because it was happening to me over and over again. I'd be like, oh, I just need to, meet someone else. All right, it's their fault. And then all of a sudden I'd be like, okay, this is happening again. Why?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so as I started going through my own, self-discovery and just learning all about dynamics of relationships and people, it just kind of spilled into my other business, and realized that when they were coming to me to fix the outside of them, what they really were desiring and what they were needing was something internal, right?
Hmm.
And so yeah, and so that's where I started to kind of like just merge the two in this. And then eventually when 2020 hit and my
Wow.
salon was, yeah, everything was like shut down, I was like, I think this is a great opportunity for me to take, this passion that I have and just bring it to light, really.
I love that. I love that. And I will tell you, the holding space, um, it is essential. It's essential. And you're right. Many people, many of us women in particular, um, we are very concerned about our aesthetic. And so you are the only therapist that many people would ever see, because they'll get the hair and the extensions and the lashes and the brows and the nails and all of the things, but not realizing that what really needs to be made beautiful is the internal game. Yeah. So let's talk about attachment styles.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think like over my journey and I've done so many different things around relationships. And I think what it was when I really understood what attachment theory was. And
Mhm.
I was like, oh my God, I'm not crazy. This is really a thing. Like I could put like like a label to what I was experiencing.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that was really just like the game changer for me in terms of just bringing everything together. Because with attachment theory, basically what this is the emotional bonds that we create, with other people, that we were taught this in childhood, right? Essentially, and how we were bonding with our caregivers, that as we grow up and now we become adults or in adult relationship, it starts to show up in our adult relationship. So it's like we're basically recreating our past. And so as we connect and bond to somebody, these things come up. And so whether you are securely attached, which is one of them, or you're anxiously attached, fearfully
Mhm.
avoidant, or dismissive avoidant. So there's four of them altogether. But depending how you connect with people and bond is going to really, essentially, it's going to navigate the whole relationship. And if we're not aware of these things, it can really create tension in relationships.
Absolutely. Okay, I have so many questions.
Yeah.
So how would someone know what their style is?
Okay, so that's great. So I can give you a little overview, but I also have a quiz. It's a free quiz. Give everyone.
Yes.
I know we all love quizzes, right? It's like,
Yes.
so it's a quick quiz, and by the end of it, it will actually give you percentages of like what percentage you are of which. Yes.
All right. So we will have that
Yeah.
for you in the comments. We will make sure that that gets because I think that that's really important as a baseline for people to really know where they are and then how that shows up for them in their relationships. Yeah, I think that that's hugely important.
Yeah. And like you said it perfectly, a baseline, right? This isn't like some, oh my God, I'm diagnosed, or some, it's something, or you're not even stuck with it. It's just to know like, hey, where are we at with this? And so you can have that better understanding and have that awareness. And then the whole point is, if you're leaning more anxious, if you're more avoidant, if you're fearful avoidant, it's just, now we're here, and how do we get to securely attached? Right.
Mhm.
That's like the goal, basically.
And do you find that people, because there was something that you said that I thought was really interesting, and it was around the idea that um, this is where you are right now,
Yep.
so that people could be in one style of attachment in one relationship, and at a different stage and situation in their life with a different person, or maybe even with the same person. So I was married for 24 years. My husband passed away 6 months ago. And I have said so many times, when you're with someone for that long, you have multiple relationships with the same person
Yes.
because you grow and you change. They grow and they're changing. And so it's kind of like, well, when you wake up to next to this person at year 10, it's not the same as it was when you woke up on day one or year one. So um the goal is to get to a secure attachment.
Mhm.
How do we get there?
So great question. So depending on where you're at, right? And you said it beautifully too. It's because we could be in a really crazy relationship, let's just say, for example, and now you're like really leaning anxious because that side, has come out of you, right? Where, you could be with someone who's more, um, or if they're more anxious, you might want to swing more towards your dismissive side, right? Because it might
Mhm,
be too much for you. And that's how it kind of flows. But essentially, a lot of it does stem from, childhood baseline, right?
mhm,
And so by doing that is I always tell people I work to create that security is there are like 5 pillars that I usually work with. And so that is one, we have to see where you're at,
mhm,
understanding where your core wounds are, your core needs, because each attachment style is different. Anxious is terrified of being alone, right? They're terrified. Like,
mhm,
they don't like to be alone. They come off as the clingy or needy person. They'll constantly seeking for attention, approval, etc. And so, especially so, or they are, fearful avoidance. Well, actually, one end of the spectrum is anxious, and then the other end of the spectrum is the dismissive avoidant, which they're the complete opposite. They have a fear
mhm.
of, being vulnerable. That's weak to
Yeah.
them. They're like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I want to keep my space. I don't want people too close to me, right? So you can see how opposites can attract, but also
Mhm,
where it's like it could be a really intense dynamic because
mhm.
they're like, I'm afraid of being alone. They're like, oh my God, this is too much.
Yeah.
So, and then the fearful avoidant is both. It's like
Yeah.
the hot and cold person. One second they're like this, the next second they shut down, they'll ghost you. You're just like, whoa, because they fear both at the same. They want the closeness, but they fear it at the same time. So that's where
Mhm,
they swing. And underneath it, their core is trust. They're so afraid they can't trust because they were probably in some kind of maybe more chaotic where their environment where maybe their parent was their source of fear and pain, but also their source of love. So they can't trust. And
mhm,
this is how they go through it. So that's why in the first pillar, it's like really uncovering these things. What are your needs? And then the second was balance. Now we're emotional regulating, how do you self soothe? How do you step out into your vulnerability, right? And because that all plays a role because everyone's different. One is needs more of that self-soothing, the other person needs to kind of come out of their shell a bit, right? So
mhm,
once we start to balance that out, then we move into communication. Communication is going to, well, you got to know what's going on inside of you first to be able to communicate it effectively because the communication is really important. And so, and the next one is boundaries, learning how to set boundaries within yourself. What is your yeses? What is your nos? So that you can, maintain again the emotional regulation and not burning ourselves out, trying to hold on to a relationship or self abandoning ourselves, which is
mhm,
really key. And then the fifth one is intimacy. Because when you have those things, exactly, when you have all those things flowing, you're able to connect. Why? Because you're connected to yourself first. You know
mhm,
yourself, your relationship is stronger and you're more secure within yourself. So you can trust, you can let go, you're able to
mhm.
that vulnerability and let someone in so you can create that intimacy. So by doing those, by working through that, you become more securely attached. And then so are your relationships.
Yeah. Oh, goodness, there's so much juicy deliciousness there. So I heard a content creator the other day that said something that was so powerful, and he gave an example of like, we believe that it's like me and my person,
Yep.
and that there is this line that's going between us, right? And he said, in all actuality, it's you and you.
I
It's
love that.
you and you. I know. If I can find it, I'll send it to you.
Yes.
So great because years ago there was the movie and there was the line, "You complete me."
Oh,
And nothing more toxic has ever been said in Hollywood. Because then you have all of these little wounded hearts out here looking to be completed. And the problem is, if I did not start you, how can I complete you?
so true. Oh my God, I love that. I love that. I love that. I'm gonna like post that the next time because
Yeah.
it's
No,
yeah.
I mean, so true, right? And so in the space here in Overachievers Anonymous, the reason that it's so important that we have you here, Mara, is I firmly believe in our the ubiquitous nature that we all have, so that wherever we go, there we are, right? And so many of us know how to create successes in one space, but not in other spaces. And then we're wondering why we're like limping along because it's like three tires are doing great, but one is on a flat,
That's it.
you know? And so when we are able to heal and we are able to look within
Yep.
to do the work of going back, then you can begin to see, okay, I do want to have more success in my business. I do want to have to be happier and to be more well-rounded. I do want greater intimacy with my significant others and with my children in other spaces. How do we make this happen? And being able to dial into how am I showing up? Who's coming to the party?
That's it.
For me, when I think about attachment styles, I'm like, who's coming to the party today? And so in this, what is one nugget that you can give for each of the attachment styles? One
Yeah.
thing that you can give to them that if they're recognizing, and first they're going to take your quiz because this is going to be essential. So
Yep.
your first thing is to go
Mhm.
take the quiz. And then just like we want to hear from you, what's one thing that each style can do to kind of support them?
Love that. So, like for example, anxious attachment, right? We'll start there. Those are like my hopeless romantics, right? And also too, they are the ones that really will go above and beyond for people and like without like any regard of like their own boundaries. And so one of the things too is oftentimes is they're seeking, when you talk about high achievers, I totally understand because a lot
Mhm.
of them are that too,
Mm.
because they're just like, I'll go, 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 right? And because they're looking for that, what's driving it is that approval, the validation,
Mhm. Mhm.
many years ago, I mean, as children, we're kind of conditioned in that way where it's like, we do this, we get an award,
Mhm.
rewarded and not. And so we just, keep going. And so now what that looks like I, is how do you validate and appreciate yourself? The one
Mm.
Yes. So without anybody else. I know this sounds crazy because when we're the anxious is they're always looking for the outside, make me feel important, right? And the key is self-soothing, is
Mhm.
being able to calm your nervous system down, meditation, breath work, and also being able to give those things that you're seeking so badly with from other people to yourself because you start to fill your own bucket.
Yes, love that.
Yes. One thing in particular, I am words of affirmation. I love emotional connection, words of affirmation. And when I was in a relationship, he wasn't necessarily giving that to me. And it was like stressing me out. It was like all the things. And then I was like, you know what? This is what I desire. And I also have a relationship with myself. So I'm going to do that for myself first. And so
Hmm.
I started sending myself emails. I wrote myself a love letter. Oh, all the things that I've ever wanted to hear, everything, and sent it to myself. And
Mhm.
then I was scheduling things to send to me like randomly, like just these little like I will tell you, I felt like I was on cloud nine.
Mhm. I love that.
It's like it's so silly. And my client, when they do it, they love it because they're just like, I didn't realize. I'm like, yeah. It's like because are we haven't given it to ourselves. And that's really what we're missing here. So there's one for that. And the other for dismissive, it's it's very challenging for them to open up. So a lot of
Mhm.
exposure work, um, small baby steps. So for example, if it's something that you're afraid to come out of your shell, like I always tell people, if you want to meet someone at a bar, I'm not going to be like, all right, go start talking to somebody, right? They'll be like, what?
Mhm. Yeah.
But this week, just make eye contact with that person. Just
Mm.
that's all I want you to do. Walk in somewhere and just make eye contact, smile, and keep it moving. That's all you have to do. And in that moment, you want to start to recondition yourself that it's okay, right? You got to give yourself that positive reassurance that it's safe and it's okay to be vulnerable, to put yourself out there. So and you can plug and play any of these things, right? Like it's if it's something like scared to go online, I'm scared to show up, or whatever that looks like for your business, you could do that as well.
For sure.
You know,
Mhm.
and then fearful avoidant is all about trust, right? And so
Mm.
oftentimes they're afraid to trust people, they're afraid to trust things. So one of the things that um you want to do is setting something for yourself. Could be very small. It could be like, I'm going to not hit the snooze button, or I'm gonna just whatever it is, and start building the trust inside of you, because that's
Mhm.
what counts the most. It doesn't matter what's happening external. If you can trust within yourself, then you know that you'll be able to handle whatever is coming outside of you, you know?
Yeah.
So
It's back to that idea that it is the relationship with you.
it's
Yeah.
it's back
I
to
love that. I
yeah.
love that, Mara. Okay, so where can my folks find you? Where do you hang out? Where can they find you? How do they play with you?
Yes. Okay. So they can, I hang out. I'm on social media, so I'm more active, like on Facebook and Instagram. I do have. You can just research my, just search my name, Mara Palermo, and I mean I'm on TikTok as well, but mainly Facebook, Instagram. I do have, a group if they want to learn a little bit more. It's a free Facebook group they can join. And also obviously taking the quiz. That's always, important. That's the first start. I always say that to people, just start
Okay,
there.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
after they take the quiz, will they be directed to come to your group?
I
Or
believe
is there an option in there? I just want to make sure that they can get into your group if they
I want to say yes.
okay.
It's been a while since I'm pretty sure it is, but either if they want to, join my group, I can always just send the link here too. But I'm
We
pretty
can do
sure
that too. Yeah, yeah. No, we can do that for sure. I
I'm like
love that.
10 it does. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Mara, thank you. Thank you so much. This is so important and um for so many of us again, like even if you are comfortable in your relationship, ask yourself, how do your business associates see you?
Yeah.
How do your kids see you? Um because at different phases of our life, our self-awareness and our journey, we're showing up differently. And in our space, we talk about becoming your divine ideal. You have a blueprint of which would be the secure attachment, right? Like you have a blueprint of your best self. And what does she look like? How does she walk through the world? And when you are in your divine ideal, you are absolutely in that space of secure and trust.
Yes.
And that is how you're able to then attract someone who is also in that same space. So
1000%.
healthy relationships start with our healthy choices.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mara, thank you so much for being here. Are there any final parting words you want to share to the Overachievers tribe?
No, no, but it's funny. I do say like the same thing that you say when wherever you go, there you are, because it's true. Like, and relationships are just, I mean, it's the fabric of life, right? So the way that you're showing up, if you are anxious or avoidant or whatever in your romantic relationships, it's for sure, it's everywhere,
Yeah.
And so just imagine, like you said, like if you're more in that secure space, what would your life look like then, you know?
Ooh, I love that. Thank you so much for being here.